The rain had been falling for hours, smudging the glass windows of the small diner on the corner of Maple Street. Inside, the smell of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the faint scent of cinnamon pie, and the low hum of a radio filled the silence that no one dared to break. At the far end of the diner, a young woman sat alone in a booth, her trembling fingers wrapped around a mug she hadn't touched in over an hour. Her eyes were red, her makeup washed away by tears she couldn't hide anymore. She had lost everything, her job, her apartment, and the man she thought would stand by her forever. The weight of the world pressed on her chest until breathing itself felt like a burden. She stared at the rain tracing its path down the window, wondering if anyone would notice if she simply disappeared. Then suddenly a small voice broke through the fog of her despair. It was soft, innocent, and carried the kind of warmth that could melt even the coldest of hearts. "Please don't cry, miss." The woman blinked and turned. Standing beside her table was a little boy, no older than 6, holding a worn-out teddy bear and smiling shyly through a gap in his front teeth. He tilted his head slightly, his eyes full of something she hadn't seen in years, pure kindness. "Daddy fixes broken thing," he said, his tiny voice trembling with sincerity. "He can fix you too." Before we go deeper into this heart-touching story, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel if you believe in kindness, hope, and second chances. Because sometimes even strangers can fix what the world has broken. The woman blinked back her tears, unsure how to respond. The boy's father, a man in his mid-30s with kind hazel eyes and strong, calloused hands, quickly approached the booth. His name was Daniel Miller, a single dad who worked as a repairman for almost everything: cars, toasters, clocks, even old guitars people no longer believed could sing. He gently placed a hand on his son's shoulder and smiled apologetically. "I'm sorry, miss. He talks to everyone. He just hates to see anyone sad." The woman managed a faint smile. "It's all right," she whispered, but her voice cracked, betraying the storm she had tried to hold inside. Daniel noticed, and something about her silence spoke louder than any words could. Her name was Emily, though she didn't offer it right away. There was a loneliness about her that reminded him of himself after his wife passed away 3 years ago. She looked like someone who had forgotten what it felt like to be seen. Daniel sat across from her after she nodded that it was okay. His son, little Noah, climbed into the booth beside him and placed the teddy bear on the table, as if offering comfort. The woman stared at the bear for a moment and let out a small, fragile laugh. It had been so long since she'd laughed that the sound startled even her. Noah grinned proudly, as if he'd won a battle against sadness itself. As the minutes turned into an hour, she slowly began to open up. Emily had moved to the city with dreams of becoming a designer, but the company she worked for downsized, and she was among the first to go. Her boyfriend, who had once promised to stand by her no matter what, walked away a week later. Rent piled up, savings ran out, and she found herself sleeping in her car for the past 3 nights. "I just don't know what to do anymore," she admitted softly, her voice trembling like the flickering diner light above them. Daniel listened quietly, nodding. He didn't interrupt. When she finished, he simply said, "You know, sometimes the things that break aren't supposed to be thrown away. Sometimes they just need someone patient enough to fix them." Emily stared at him, trying to decide if he was just being kind or if he really believed what he said. But the way his voice held steady told her he wasn't lying. Daniel offered her a warm meal and insisted on paying. When she hesitated, he smiled gently. "Consider it a kindness someone once showed me when I needed it most." It was then Emily noticed a small chain around his neck with a silver ring hanging from it. He caught her glance inside. "My wife passed away 3 years ago. She was the kind one. I just try to keep her light alive." That night, as Emily stepped outside into the rain, Noah ran after her holding a small metal charm shaped like a heart. "Daddy fixed this for me when I broke it. Now it's lucky," he said, pressing it into her hand. "Maybe it'll fix you too." She couldn't speak. Her throat was too tight with emotion. She just knelt down, hugged the little boy, and whispered, "Thank you, sweetheart." Days turned into weeks. Emily started visiting the diner often, not because she could afford the meals, but because Daniel and Noah made her feel like she wasn't invisible anymore. Daniel would fix things in the back corner of the diner, coffee machines, radios, and sometimes even broken chairs, while Emily watched, offering him company. She started sketching again on napkins, rediscovering her old passion for design. Noah would sit beside her, drawing messy stick figures and calling them heroes. Daniel noticed the spark returning to her eyes. One evening, when the sun dipped behind the city skyline, he said softly, "Maybe it's not the world that's broken, Emily. Maybe it's just people who forget how strong they are." She looked at him and realized that his quiet strength wasn't about fixing objects. It was about mending hearts. Then one afternoon, fate struck again. But this time it was Emily's turn to help. Daniel's old truck broke down on the way to work. Without it, he couldn't do repairs or make money. Emily, using the designs she had been working on, came up with an idea. She created a small online page, Miller Fixes, where people could book Daniel for repairs and leave reviews. She took pictures, wrote descriptions, and within a week, calls started coming in from all over town. Daniel was stunned. "I didn't even know you could do this," he said, amazed. She smiled and replied, "You fixed me when I was falling apart, Daniel. Now it's my turn." As Daniel's little business grew, so did the bond between them. They became inseparable, sharing laughter over coffee, long walks in the park with Noah, and quiet evenings fixing toys for neighborhood kids. For the first time in years, Emily didn't wake up feeling lost. She had a purpose again, and a family that wasn't hers by blood, but by heart. Then came the day Noah turned 7. Emily helped decorate the diner with balloons and streamers, her sketches of gears and hearts taped across the walls. When the candles were lit, Noah blew them out and said, "I have one wish. I wish Miss Emily stays with us forever." Everyone laughed, but Daniel didn't. He looked at her with eyes that said more than words ever could. Later that evening, when the lights were low and the rain began again, just like the night they met, Daniel quietly said, "Noah's right. I don't want you to go, Emily." Her eyes filled with tears, but they were no longer tears of pain. "You fixed more than you'll ever know," she whispered. Months later, Emily launched her own small design studio with Daniel's help. She named it Broken Things Made Beautiful. The tagline read, "Because even the shattered can shine again." She often told people how it all began, with a child, a teddy bear, and a simple sentence that saved her life. One evening as she closed the shop, a young woman entered, crying softly. She had just lost her job and didn't know where to go. Emily recognized that same emptiness she once carried. She handed her a warm cup of cocoa and said gently, "Please don't cry, miss. I know someone who fixes broken things." The girl looked confused, so Emily smiled and pointed to her own heart. "Sometimes he's not just a person. Sometimes he's the love you're about to find, or the hope you thought you'd lost." If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more stories that remind the world that kindness still exists, even in the quiet corners of a rainy diner. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what's one act of kindness you'll never forget? Emily often looked back at that night on Maple Street, the rain, the tears, and the little boy who refused to let a stranger cry alone. That single moment became the thread that stitched her life back together. For her, it was never just about being fixed. It was about being found. And sometimes being found is all it takes to start healing. Because in a world full of broken things, it only takes one gentle soul to remind us that nothing and no one is beyond repair.